Hi friends, school is finally out for the summer. I've been doing a lot of writing, but unfortunately that means I haven't posted a video in a while. So this video is going to be an update of sorts on the media that I've consumed in this time that's kept me inspired, that's driven my writing, and also just kept me engaged in art. First is America Mine. Sasha Banks is completely new to me. I had never heard her name before. I'm not implying that I know every poet in the world, but it is surprising to me that she's not more known just because this book is so incredibly good. I stumbled across this book because I signed up for a manuscripts class with the poet Ariana Brown, which has been a really great class. We had to have this mailed to us by Ariana. I believe you can still purchase it on Amazon, but it is out of print now. Another book I've read recently that I've really enjoyed is Good Monster by Dianelli Antigua. I just finished interviewing Dianelli about this book, and you can catch that very soon. I loved hearing about her process of developing this book and also her motivations behind it. I felt that they were very eye-opening. She's a really great speaker. Jane Austen's Emma. I've always loved Jane Austen. I've always loved Clueless, a modern day adaptation of Emma. For some reason, I've never read Emma before. I'm excited to delve into it this summer because after reading Emma, I'm planning to read If I Loved You Less, which is a modern day adaptation by Pakistani American author Amna Qureshi, who is going to be a featured Tightwires guest this summer. And she's already sent me that book, so I'm excited to read them both and compare them. Another book I'm excited to read this summer, Jinn Daughter by Rania Hanna. She is a Syrian-American writer and researcher who is a neuroscience doctoral student at George Mason University. This is her debut novel. It came out in April. It's already been on a lot of lists. The premise sounds amazing, and I'm excited to see more from her already. I really like Dairy Girls. We both really liked Dairy Girls, and we laughed at it a lot. I loved how it delved into mundane, like teenage issues while also providing this historical backdrop of these big, like historical things happening in Ireland. I learned a lot from it. It's a great show to watch if you're interested in that time period, but also just in general, I feel like it was just a good show. We definitely laughed a lot. Another show we also really enjoyed recently, Superstore. And we didn't like the first season at all. The first season is awful. It's so funny that we ended up watching the whole thing and really liking it because the first season is really just that bad. But yeah, ultimately it ended up being quite a good show. It says a lot about what it means to work in really just any superstore, although it's obviously trying to parody Walmart. It's a really interesting premise for a show. It's not quite the documentary style that you would expect from something like that. It kind of reminded me of Kim's Convenience in a way, I guess just because they're both dealing with like a particular workplace setting and not doing it in like a documentary style. Bikini and I have been watching Abbott Elementary. I know we're super late, but it's been very nice and comforting. It's definitely our comfort show right now. It's comforting because we're pairing it with Baby Reindeer, which is anything but comforting. Kate convinced us to watch this, and I actually recently posted a video where Kate and I discussed this. And we do have plans to make a part 2 where we continue discussing the remaining episodes. I think it's quite well made so far, and I am excited to finish it, but I definitely can't do it in big doses. Like I have to pace myself. And so Abbott Elementary has been a nice break from that. A podcast I've recently really enjoyed is Rep, a story about the stories we tell. And that is a limited podcast series by the journalist Noor Tagouri, who I've been a fan of since I was in high school. I love the stories Noor tells in this podcast. It's so beautifully constructed. I love how each episode leaves me wanting to write, not least of all because I joined Rep Club, a 6-week virtual course that engages with the podcast. basically we just listen to 2 episodes a week and then discuss them on Sundays. And that has been so great. I've met so many interesting, fascinating people who have inspired me and that I'm excited to befriend and continue to grow with. Another podcast I've enjoyed recently, I'm not caught up entirely, but I will definitely keep listening to it into the summer, is the Bread and Poetry podcast that Dianelli hosts. And I really enjoyed hearing more about like how it came to be today during our interview. So please do check out that interview if you're also curious to know. Podcasts I'm excited to listen to. I haven't really listened much to this podcast, but it was produced by a friend of mine, Gracie Bain. This podcast is called Ripperature Building the Myth. I'm going to read you the description. Ripperature Building the Myth explores fictional adaptations of Jack the Ripper, or Ripperature. Jack the Ripper, a fictitious moniker for an unknown killer, has been credited as the first modern serial killer, and as such has lasting impacts on true crime discourse, including the ways gender, labor, and violence intersect. Join me as I attempt to answer the questions: why do we keep fictionalizing these gruesome crimes? Why are we still obsessed with these crimes? What does our obsession tell us about ourselves? I'm excited to delve into this because I admire Gracie as a scholar and a person. I'm eager to see a perspective on serial killing that isn't the typical like true crime enthusiast's perspective. That's something I find very disturbing about our culture nowadays, that so many people are obsessed with true crime and gruesome killings. This was also Gracie's dissertation, and so I'm excited to delve into it for that reason. I feel like it's probably very well researched and probably delves into some really interesting questions.